We'll do a quick roll call. All right. All right, call to order. So this meeting of the West University Historic Zone Advisory Board, Tuesday, March 15th, 2022 is called to order. Do a quick roll call. Darcy Hazelbaker.
Here.
Damon Turner.
I'm here.
And Betsy Besnick.
Here.
And this is Rick McDonald, present. All right, so I think we have a quorum. Item number 2 on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our February 15th meeting. Hopefully, the board members have had a chance to review the minutes. Do I have a motion to approve?
This is Damon. I read them and I motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Darcy Hazelbaker, second.
Okay, cool. So do a quick vote. Betsy Besnick, how do you vote?
Aye.
Damon Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
Darcy Hazelbaker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Rick McDonald, I vote aye. We have unanimous approval of the minutes. All right, so item 3 on the agenda, call to the audience. Michael, do we have anything that came into you for call to the audience?
Since Jody is here, I defer that to Jody.
Okay.
We did not receive anything in call to the audience.
Okay, very good. So we can move on to the meat of the meeting, the reviews. I've been asked to switch up A and B on the reviews. So we're going to start with item 4B, 219 East 2nd Street, construction of a carport with an upper deck. So who is speaking for that one?
I am.
Bill, okay, I see you there. All right, Bill, go.
Thanks for switching. I appreciate it, and sorry, my apologies to whoever I switched with. Let me share my screen. Can I share my screen?
Sure, hold on, Bill.
Yeah, Michael controls us.
I will make you the host for now so you can share your screen.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Bill.
Nice to see you, Michael.
Nice to see you too. It's been a while.
Yeah. So this is 219 East 2nd Street. Jim Glock is the owner, and he's here as well, and he can answer questions too. So basically, this is a courtesy review. It's a small Ramada that will be used as a garage carport type operation on the ground floor on the site, and then there will be some spiral stairs that go up to hang out on top of it. And so it's located here at 2nd and Arizona Avenue at the northwest corner. The blow up. And so here's the main house. There's been a 2-story kind of addition on the house back here. There's 3 outbuildings located in the back of the site. And then, as you can see along Arizona Avenue, there's a lot of outbuildings. There's pictures of all the stuff in the middle. So this is a development zone, and so it's a lot of a development zone. But most important is what's going on in Arizona Avenue for this project, because the proposal will be facing Arizona Ave, just like many of the contributing and non-contributing structures facing Arizona Ave. Here's a photograph of the front of the house from 2nd Street. And then here's a photograph of it from the southeast, looking northwest and west. And so you can see the front of the house here, and then the two-story addition that was done. When was that done, Jim?
1997, it did go through historic review. We were really, actually, historic review improved our design. So again, I appreciate this process and appreciate those of you who serve on this board.
So the addition is actually vintage. It's like 25 years, right? Or so.
Good point.
So,
Pushing 30.
so, and then here's the rusted metal fence that extends from kind of halfway in the property to the north. And in the shadows is a small one-story accessory dwelling unit. And that space there is where the Ramada will be located. And so then these are pictures of the development zone. There's a little garage building that's been modified. There's a two-story structure to the north. There's this carport, CMU and post and beam, low slung garage, and then a two-story building up at the corner. And then turning and facing east, we see a bunch of walls and garages. And a lot of these are actually non-contributing, I believe, if we go back and look at the development zone.
Right.
And then there's the project I think you're going to be reviewing next, across Arizona Avenue from Jim's property.
Mhm.
And then these are the houses and the properties that face Second Street within the development zone. The property inventory, and then this is the location from looking inside the property, looking north. And so out here is Arizona Avenue, and this spot right here in this gravel area is where the proposed carport will be located. Behind that vegetation is the one-story accessory dwelling unit, and to the left is a one-story shed structure for working and stuff. And then in the back, you can see this one-story unit back there. And then this is looking kind of west and south. And the project area is located in this open area, this gravel. And then to the south is the landscaping, and the south and west is I'm sorry, I was looking east, and south and west is the house. To our left is the small accessory dwelling unit. And so here's the site plan, the existing on the left, showing that location of the house, location of these accessory units. And right here will be the carport in that area. We're going to modify a little bit of the brick patio that was built potentially, and remove the gate that's out there and provide a new gate and a new overhead door for the Ramada. And this is a zoom in. And so there will be this Ramada here. It's about 20 feet by 8.5, 9 feet. And there will be a pre-manufactured spiral stair on the south side of it. It'll be located 18 feet from the existing accessory building and about 5.5 feet from the main building. And the proposed elevations, so it's steel. The columns will be, I don't know if you noticed, I think we're going to do, kind of a tube. So 4 square tubes, and put some beams in between them and have the beams go on top of those beams. So it kind of takes some of that arts and crafts, porch architecture, construction details, and uses them with the steel members instead of wood members. And that's, you can see that those are those columns, there's the beams. And then on top will be some joists with a decking and a metal tube steel railing with horizontal pieces at the railing. And I think, you know, we've been back and forth on it may be aircraft cable, it may be 1/2-inch rod, it may be 1/2-inch tube, not sure, but it'll be kind of the proportions that are shown here, where it's maybe a 1x1 for the railing and then a 1/2-inch or so for the pickets in a horizontal direction. The garage door will be similar to the fencing. It'll be a metal panel and frame with the metal panel inside the frame. This is a proposed section. Jim's gonna make us figure out how to do a counterbalanced garage door. We'll
Good,
see. We'll see how it works.
that's
I'll
good.
reserve my comments to the end.
But the door, hey, Bill, this is Rick McDonald. The door itself facing the alley is going to, I'm sorry, did you say it was going to mimic the fencing? Is that right?
It'll be similar to the fencing. It'll have
Okay.
like a tube steel frame with a metal panel infill.
Okay.
It will
And
not be, I'm sorry, Bill, can
Go
I
ahead.
interject?
Yeah.
Rick, it will not be a full door. It'll assume the same fence face to the alley. So
Oh,
the
I
top of
see.
the fence and the top of the pergola or ramada will be open.
Okay.
And the door just allows us to drive in.
Uh-huh.
So we have to color the door because that's what's.
No, it's a door. I mean, I get
Not
it.
gonna block the whole.
A bird can fly through my hand, where my hand is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, got it.
But
Understand.
hey, really quick, Bill, this is Darcy. It's kind of shown in that elevation more like a gate, but it might be more like a pinch door. Yeah.
That's it.
So, okay, thank you very much. Let me get back on video again. So you're coming to us for a courtesy review. I noticed on the agenda. I guess I'll open it up to the board. Any comments from board members?
I guess this is Damon. I just had one question, maybe two. I was curious what your thought process was on the horizontal features on the railing.
Jim, you want to answer that, or you want me to answer it?
Bill, you need to cue me when you want me to answer, and I will answer that.
Go for it.
I've got 3 points I want to point out. One is, if you are on top of this ramada, which is why we have the fence, we have the best views of the Tucson Mountains you can imagine. And I have always tried to achieve those views in my buildings, and I have not succeeded until my opportunity to do this. Likewise, we do have a view corridor of the Catalina Mountains, so we're looking forward to that. With respect to the horizontal and vertical, quite frankly, we put in horizontal just to see whether or not you would comment and saying you wanted it vertical, in my opinion, because the last time I was before you was when I actually went through a courtesy review for the fence, iron fence you saw, and I had horizontal panels and you guys recommended vertical, and I thought it was a good thing. So when Bill and I were talking about it, he had another concept that I thought was really cool. We just threw this one in, so we're open to suggestions with respect to that. And then the final thing I want to note is that, you know, we none of us in this neighborhood have good off-street parking. And, this is, while I do have a gate and I can drive my car in here, it's, it's not easy to do. And when time is right, we want to be able to drive in to a carport and as much to empty groceries, easily to plug in our electric car. So this is going to be wired to support an electric vehicle in the long run. And I had originally asked Bill to see whether or not solar panels on top of this thing would work. And he said that given the 2-story house that I have and others, he thought his solar power guys would say that'd be a bad idea. So that's why it's going to be open. And I've learned over the years that I should probably stop at that. And
You cut out for a second there, Jim.
I mean,
missed the end.
it's an aesthetic choice, Damon. It's not based on any sort of development zone context in terms of the horizontal. I also agree, when Jim talks about the sight lines, and so when sitting down, the horizontal will be better for looking out instead of the vertical from the view at the Ramada. So it's purely selfish.
Okay. I think, and somebody else, I'm trying to look through our design guide to see if we touch on this. I think we sort of touch on it, but it's maybe not the strongest guidance. I think we tend to try to encourage people to have like more vertical oriented sort of balusters, or whatever the right term is. So
Yeah, I mean, even looking at like his elevation there with the horizontal kind of transom over the door of the addition, it's just, there's some horizontal stuff going on. There's vertical stuff too, but it's just, if you don't,
Yeah, so
if you don't feel strongly one way or another, we keep it at horizontal.
I don't know if I feel strongly enough to make a demand. I just wanted to hear what your guys' thought process was.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what other people's thoughts are. My other comment, which isn't really design related, but for practicality purposes, if you really want to park a car in here, I might make it wider than 8.5 feet. So I'm not sure if something drove
I've
you
seen
to
your
8.5 feet.
seen your alley. Backing a car in there that width is tricky.
Yeah, so that's not really, I guess, a aesthetic comment, but for practicality. I was
Yeah.
just
Okay.
curious if something the 8.5 or what.
All right. I hear you.
I think
So-
I'm actually okay with the more horizontal, because I think too, in reality, we're looking at this as a line drawing. I think those horizontals will probably fade to the background a little bit more, and it will just look like less verticals than if we were to go more vertical. I think it will probably be something that might be a little bit more prominent. And also I kind of feel like it's a different thing. And so in some ways I'm okay if it has a little bit of a different language, just because it's also a little bit higher up, You're never really going to see this thing like the east elevation. You'll never be far enough away to really look at it in this way. So I think if it was in a different place or something, I would probably have a different opinion. But since it's an alley with a short sort of field of view, I'm okay with it.
Yeah,
I
I'm kind
agree.
of, I'm kind of in the same place. And we have a lot of places where well, it doesn't matter. And Bill, you're talking about those horizontals being, like you said, cable or some kind of steel cable or something like that.
Yeah,
Kinda like-
we have not made a final decision on what that material would be, but it would be less material than what the vertical supports and the top horizontal support would be.
Okay, cool. I'm not advocating that we do this, but I have a question, Bill, for you. I'm just curious. If you took those cables and oriented them vertically instead of horizontally, does that change the complexity of the project in any way, or is it six of one, half dozen the other? Or I guess probably it's more complex because you have to run more
No.
cables. No, okay. But I tend to agree with Darcy's comment that this is going to fade into the background, and it's also just facing the alley. No one's ever going to really see it or notice it.
Hi, sorry, excuse the babbling baby in the background.
Hey, Rachel.
Hi, I made it on. I still can't get my computer to connect, so I'm on the phone.
Can we
I-
pause for just a moment since Rachel's on? Darcy, could you just please note that Rachel has joined the meeting?
Yeah, I joined about 5 minutes late, so
No worries. We just didn't have you on
Um,
the roll call.
yeah, sorry about that.
No worries.
I think the horizontal is fine. I think too, because I think the reasoning behind the vertical is more about being on a contributing structure, and as this isn't, I don't see why we would want to, encourage a vertical orientation.
Okay. Okay, any other comments from the board?
Oh, actually, I have another thing too,
Sure.
just to mention. I know you said that you already discussed the 8-foot width, and that's sort of a standard single car garage bay is 8, 9, and 10 is what those kind of come in.
Mhm.
But since this is going to be kind of a right angle to get into it off the alley, I would also encourage you guys to go as wide as you can
Wide as you can, right? I totally
for
agree.
that turning.
Thank
radius.
you.
Yeah, just,
That would have stunk.
yeah, that would be really hard. Straight on driveway 8 is, doable, but yeah.
Okay. One last call to the board for comment. Okay, hearing none, and given that it's a courtesy review, I think we're good, right? All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Jim.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for letting us go.
Thank you,
Michael,
everyone.
you can make me not the host, because if I press end, you all right, perfect.
Okay,
See ya.
sounds good.
Don't
All
send
right.
us a bill for your architectural contributions, please.
Okay,
Thank you.
have a good night.
Good comments.
All right, moving on, item 4A, HPZ 22006, 903 North Fifth Avenue. Who is speaking to the project?
Hi, Rick. I'm going to start, and then Matt will go ahead and take it from there to
Okay.
go into the specific details. Could I have shared screen, please?
Michael?
Okay, you're good to go.
Oh, good. Thank you very much. Can you guys see my screen with 903?
Not yet.
Not yet. Let me get to that point.
And we discussed this project the last time, so you may just want to focus on the plans and what was not reviewed the last time, the part that the board has already looked at. I don't think they want to go back to.
Understood. Got that. And that's fine. I still need to get to. I still need to go ahead and get to the shared screen part of it and view. Full screen? Nope. Going back. Anyone know how I can go ahead and do the full screen to share it? Am I going to more? Share screen. There we go. Sorry about that. And the screen and share. Can you folks see the
Yeah,
The
now we can
picture
see it. Yep.
Okay, great. So Matt wanted me to go ahead and start, but I just wanted to go ahead and say that we were thrilled that we switched with probably one of the best neighbors anybody could ever ask for, Mr. Jim Glock. Just fantastic. And then I now met the infamous Bill Mackey. So that was just great. Most of the pictures that Bill presented are exactly what our area is. As Jim and I share, we're neighbors directly across from Arizona Avenue. He's on the west side here. He's right here on the west side. And of course, we're on the east side of the alleyway there. Matt wanted me to go ahead and start with this. And then he wanted me to, I wonder if I can do that. How do I move it? Just move it. It's just technology, guys. It's just amazing. There we go. All right. Okay. Right. So regarding the proposal, Michael asked me to tighten up the brief statement of the proposal, and we rewrote it, and it was all available for you to be able to look at. I think that we had talked about things in detail before, and I really think, as Michael said, we should get into the meat and potatoes of what Matt has to present, because there's additions and decks, ramadas that we need to go ahead and talk to. Unless you want me to go ahead and touch on anything else, Michael.
No, this, what you are presenting is this narrative, the board already has it. So I don't think that it would save us time going through this again, and the board already have it. If they have any specific question, they will ask you during the review.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so just go straight to the plans.
All right, we are right into the plans then. So Matt, take it away. This is Matt Conley.
So Andy, we can go to the next sheet, I think, if you want to do that. So the proposal that we're putting together, what we're asking to do is to put an addition. Oh gosh, Andy, you're going to also, because you've got control of the screen, identify where the addition is here on the drawings. So the addition is on the west side of the existing home. It's a craftsman style home, and the portion of the building we're removing, we have about 10 feet there, 12 feet if you look at the overhang that we're adding to the west on the building. 6 feet of that currently is a sleeping porch or an open screen porch that is in very poor repair. So we will be removing that and then putting a full 10-foot addition on the west side of the house. That addition will have a craft room, laundry room, and an office and a storage area off of the hall. There's a hall that runs down the center of the house, essentially below the ridge of the house there, just above primary residence. And that hall will continue to the new addition area that you can see is identified as screen porch. So we'll be taking that off. We're also opening up, you can see inside, we're opening up the stair down to the basement. There's a small basement area, and we're opening that up to get a code-worthy stair into the basement area. So I guess, Andy, you can scroll to the next drawing. There we go. Okay. So the addition you can see here, it's going to be a crafts room. There's a bedroom in the corner and then an office that we're putting in, kind of squeezed between the bedroom and the walk-in closet that is within the existing portion of the house. That was a part of the screen porch, and that's the area that's going to be remaining. And we're turning that into a larger walk-in closet for the master bedroom. The other thing, can you pan to the right a little bit? I guess my right. So the other thing that we are proposing to do is to reinstate a deck area and ramada that was cut between the two wings of the house, the master bedroom wing and the living room wing. There had been a porch there, and on some photographs that Andy can show you later, you can still see the location where the ramada framing was attached to the east wall of the master bedroom, the east exterior wall of the master bedroom. And then we're putting a deck underneath that. There was a question, I think, that came up at the last presentation that Andy had done about this ramada. We have designed it so that the portion, Andy, go back, please.
Mhm.
Thank you. So the north portion of the ramada, you can see between the two large piers on the south side are lava stone piers that are existing piers, and you can still see the rafter tails coming out of the end of those from the original ramada that was there. We will be restoring the wood that we can restore and replacing the wood that needs to be replaced in those locations. The second primary beam position as you move north, yes, thank you, Andy, is a beam spanning from wall to wall within that courtyard space or deck space to pick up a second beam. The reason that we needed to do that was that the ramada members that Andy is showing you here coming off of the south wall of the house are passing below the eave of the house. It has a very deep overhang. It's about a 5-foot overhang, and so it has it drops the fascia down pretty low. And so those are passing underneath the fascia board at, say, approximately 8.5 feet and coming out and flush framing into the beam that Andy is pointing to at this point here. And then we're going to true frame on top of that, or bear on top of that beam and the beam between the two lava stone piers, because that was in fact the way that it had been framed initially, so that it had the rafter tails that come out south of that primary beam. So it was really a matter of not bringing our ramada members into the roof finish itself, but rather tucking them underneath the eave and bringing them to the south wall of the house. All of that said, none of these members are actually, let's see, no, that's the deck. The deck is not tying into the house. We have that floating between the walls of the house. But that deck is something that we're reestablishing there between the two wings of the house, and then putting the ramada back in over the top. And then, Andy, if you could pan north. We're also proposing to put a deck in off of the kitchen on the north face of the house that faces into the side yard of the house, which opens up to Fifth.
Would you like me to go to elevations?
No, not quite yet. You'll also see at the entry that we're going to be refurbishing the beams and that sort of ramada entry cover as well. That is a reasonably intact portion of the house, and I think with some minor repairs, we'll be able to get that taken care of without having to replace all of the wood members in that case. Let's see. Yeah, Andy, why don't you go ahead and go to the elevations? Thank you. Scroll to your left, Andy. So this is the deck here that's off of the kitchen. And it provides an outdoor seating place off of the kitchen, a place for the family to gather when they're having activities in their, essentially their side yard is their backyard. The yard to the west of the property, west of the addition is, a lot of that is vehicular and space between the garage guest house. So we've designed this in a style that is consistent with the arts and crafts style of the architecture itself. The steps open down both to the north and to the east off of the porch. And this porch is floating off of the house. So we have a series we have a paired series of concrete piers that support that house so that we don't have to bring any kind of structural members into and bear upon the existing lava stone foundation wall.
So Matt, could you go, or Andy, I guess, go back to your right? All the way. Yep, there you go. Thank you. Right there. That's perfect. So, Mr. McDonald, I'm trying to, like, you've got a lot of things like on this particular drawing that are all labeled E. And the windows, let me just start with the windows. The windows, you're just refurbishing the existing windows, right? You're not changing anything.
We are not in the existing house. We have been fortunate enough to be able to refurbish all of the windows. Andy has replaced glass in many places in those windows, but he's looked for the kind of leaded glass that is consistent with the time frame of the house. So they are being refurbished, or where trim needs to be replaced, it's being replaced in kind. So the detailing will not be altered. The door is a wooden door that has glass panels in it, and it too is being refurbished so that we're not buying a new door. We are proposing to put a steel security door on that door location. There are two other locations that Andy and Andrea would like to put a security door. And we have later in the presentation a better photograph of that. And Andy has actually propped an example of that door up into those three locations, so you can see literally what it would look like in the three entry places that we're proposing to use that.
But the photograph that you're showing us right now is that door that the picture is a steel door that looks like what you're showing.
That is correct, yes.
Okay, so the actual 5-panel sliding door wouldn't be what you would see. What you would actually see from the outside of the house is the door, the photograph.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, since I know we got a lot of stuff we're going to cover on this project, I'm just going to stop here with this particular view and just poll. I mean, are there any other questions or comments from the board members before we move on to another sheet?
Yeah, I was going to ask if you can talk about the materials for the deck and the decking and the stairs.
The deck, the balustrades, the handrails, the newel posts on the corners, and then the intermediate newel will all be wood. And I believe that will be stained wood and stained in keeping with the color palette that the existing house, the shingles on the existing house have been stained. The decking surface itself is going to be a Trex decking so that it has a little bit better wear endurance. But it has the Trex has a wood-like finish or look.
So Matt, let's go back to the door. The one that you're showing on the diagram here, it looks like 5 straight panel, but this brown one that you're showing here, are they divided panels here?
Yes, I believe they are. Andy, you can speak more accurately to that.
What exactly was the question, Matt?
Whether the panels on the security door, it's divided into 6 lights above and an intermediate set of smaller lights and then the 6 below. Are those true divided? In other words, does that sticking work? Is there a panel in between each one of those individually, or is there
It's actually a wooden overlay, and it's kind of the neatest thing. It's actually real wood on top of a security door. And the neat thing is that, Matt, should we go to the pictures real quick, just so we?
Sure. And Andy, what Michael is asking is, with the security screen behind the door, behind the framing, is that a single panel of screening, or is it, are they individual panels within each one of the openings?
So we're talking about the actual door itself, the security door?
The security screening portion of the door. Is that a single panel behind?
It is, yes. Yeah, that's actually just a regular security door. And what the company has done, WoodGuard, is they went ahead and just put a wood overlay, and you can actually see from different pictures. It's really kind of neat, and it's something that I think the board should see many times in the future to be able to go ahead and be able to help folks be able to protect their homes. You can see how the beautiful detail of the wood actually goes exactly with the existing house. It's just fantastic. I don't think there's anything that could have been any closer than this security door.
What is there though? Is that glass? I can't tell from the image.
It's actual screen.
Okay,
That's
so
the gray there is the actual security door. And then Damon, you can actually see the molding around that fits right into the trim. And all I did was I went ahead and took the screen door that I had, and I just propped it up. But this will actually be painted yellow as the color of the windows.
And Andy, is that screen a screen like the screen in a window, or is it a perforated metal screen?
It's a perforated metal screen, like a regular security door. People will not be able to put their hand through.
got it.
Here.
Okay, I had a question for the other board members. I'm not sure what the stance is relative to Trex.
I'm not sure if we have it in if we address
We
it.
don't.
Guidelines.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing earlier. I think we're silent on that subject.
I think it's something along the lines again of the like contributing, non-contributing. I could be wrong. I'm trying to remember what we discussed when we redid the guidelines recently.
I don't recall that we had any discussion about the material of a deck. And I could be wrong on that, but I don't think we did.
Yeah.
So this particular deck that we were just looking at is not covered. So, I mean, I have to admit that I agree that the Trex material, even though maybe it's not consistent with some of the other materials we like to see on things that attach to a contributing property, it's going to be more durable than wood.
Yeah, I can say that I've had other properties in other neighborhoods go through and Trex has been allowed. I don't know if that really
Right.
is relevant to what we want to do, but like Presidio and
Yeah.
Barrio have both allowed Trex. So
I mean, I'm also okay with it because I think we have to also like think about, not that it's necessarily technology, but
right.
a
I
wood
agree.
deck is going to be, it could look worse like an eyesore over time with paint chipping and splintering and sealing.
I
Well, and
totally
I
agree.
think that was something we talked about when we did our guidelines of allowing for advances in
Yeah.
materials and things like that.
Totally. So I'm okay with it.
I'm okay with it too. I think that's the concern we've had with things like, we're a little off topic, vinyl windows, because they don't hold up over time, right? We're kind of looking for things that are going to be materials that last. And I think Trex over wood for a deck. I mean, a lot of the decks in our neighborhood are concrete that date back to the original structures, and we don't need to do that here. So comments with respect, I guess on these doors, given that the wood that we see in that picture is kind of an overlay over a perforated screen, does that manufacturer allow different mullion designs? Do you know, Andy?
Rick, I think I was just very fortunate to go ahead and find this on Craigslist and find the actual manufacturer that had that. And I've looked on their website, and this is all that they offer regarding an overlay in that kind of design. And again, the exact measurement of the wood going across is the exact measurement of all the windows that we have throughout the whole house, not just here, but throughout the whole house. It's the exact same size.
Talking about the thickness of the mullions. Yeah.
Thickness, yes.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask if you guys could, going back to the deck on the north side, if you could just walk through some of the details and talk about how you're connecting to the design of the rest of the house. I think if you go back to that elevation view, yeah.
There you go. Yep.
How
no,
we're connecting to the house?
No, not
No, no.
physically. I'm asking
Yeah.
about architectural design.
Aesthetically, yeah, architecturally.
So, and Andy, this is actually a section, so that's not, well, it shows the newel post, but, so the detailing, we have wood balustrade, with a top wood handrail and then a kick rail at the bottom. And these are basically a flat recessed panel with a built-up little bit of a plinth, and then the fascia across the skirt here between the deck material itself and a lattice, basically a lattice infill panel here to close off that area underneath the deck, both from critters and also just so it's not a kind of an unsightly dirt area. But it's all wood. It will be stained and finished in keeping with the color patterns, color palette that we're working with on the outside of the house currently. Is there anything more I can share with you about that?
No, I think
You have,
that's the information I was looking for. Thanks.
okay, all right.
Yeah. So Matt, this is again, Rick McDonald.
Yeah.
The design that you've chosen here with the way the recessed panels on the posts are and such, doesn't, I'm sorry, I'm going to say this in a way that sounds like I'm being critical, but I'm not. It just, it doesn't, you're not trying to relate to any other feature, like the front porch doesn't look like that, for example, right?
Right. The front porch has sort of lava stone, short kind of pony wall piers,
Mm-hmm.
a single horizontal rail running between those piers. There aren't even any balustrades. So in order for us to meet code, we do need to have the balustrade.
Oh, yeah.
I can imagine, you mentioned the recessed panel piers at the corner. Those are not consistent with the detailing of the house. All of the woodwork on the outside of the house at this time is simple 4x4, 6x6 lumber. And we certainly could, if the preference were to simplify this, those could be built in a way that was more, had less detail, I guess was more solid, had less detail. if we make them, excuse me, as large as they are, we'd want to be careful that they were fabricated in such a way that they didn't start to curl and delaminate just with the ravages of the environment.
Yeah, right. I don't know, to the board, comments regarding that, because this design is not consistent probably with the way things would have been done back in the day for this particular house. I mean, I've seen this design before on other historic homes, just not this period.
Is it possible? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, Darcy, sorry about that. I was just going to go ahead and say that this is also on the north side of the house. This is not something that folks are going to be able to see from the road. I would say on the south side that we are exactly to what the house was before. And on the north side, this is just something for convenience to be able to go ahead and come through that pocket door from the kitchen, because all these windows here are the kitchen, to be able to go ahead and walk right outside and be able to have an outside seating area to be able to go ahead and eat breakfast, dinner, whatever it's going to be. And so I just think that the availability of being able to have it is just phenomenal. But no one's really going to see it on the north side in reality, if that makes a difference, Rick.
Mhm.
Well, my comment, I guess, to that would be that I think it's important to consider like sort of the integrity and the original intention of the house, you know, and so even if someone's not going to be able to quote unquote see it, it's still something I think that's important to be mindful of, because it's, you know, it's going to become a new addition onto the property. And so I guess my question was going to be is, did you guys look into the possibility of trying to do a stone base for the deck?
So my understanding with volcanics, and I just talked to a mason the other day, is that the stone is really not easily available to get, as far as I know, and he's doing this all the time. And so where do people find the volcanic stone? I think you have to go out to BLM land, Bureau of Land Management, and you have to ask permission to be able to go ahead and go farm it, is what my understanding. But I don't think it's easily accessible. I don't think anybody in town is actually selling it. I don't think it's something that we consider to go ahead and try to build anything with. We have a couple of stones that are in a pile in one area, but not anything enough to go ahead and be able to build a foundation.
Well, I just wonder if it could be another kind of stone. Maybe it doesn't need to be lava stone, but something that was similar in color and size, maybe.
Well, I think too, more to the point and to follow with like the guidelines, we need to see where something like this exists in your development zone for you to use this sort of detailing. And if this
Right.
detailing isn't in your development zone, then you'd have to pick something that is in your development zone.
And Andy, we're not talking about whether putting a deck is a good idea or not, or whether having the functionality that you're looking at. It's just that specific detailing of things like the posts are consistent with either the intention of the house or the intention of the neighborhood, the specific development zone around your house.
Exactly. It's not that we don't want you to have a deck. It's if you
can
do
have
a
the
deck,
Yeah.
we want it to look like something in the development zone.
I think all the other decks that I've seen are just very, very simple. The very few that have been around.
Right. But that's actually part of the intention. So, and Matt, I'm kind of looking to you a little bit too. Do you kind of follow what we're asking?
I do, yes, yeah. And so within that context, let's see.
Man, I think we could go ahead and just square up and not have a recessed panel there. We can go ahead and just have a solid panel going across.
Right.
We were talking about a home in Savannah, Georgia. This would make a lot of sense, but it's not. I think what we're just asking is it really consistent with the aesthetic that we see in the development zone for these kinds of homes. we're not questioning the utility of the deck.
So following that thinking then, would replacing, because somehow we've got to support the deck itself. And I'm wondering if replacing the piers with stone and still maintaining the sort of the gap between and a wood framing across the top, you think that would be more acceptable within the context of the development zone? And given that question, I'll make a point of driving through all of the blocks to see kind of what the general context is for other decks.
Well, maybe to be sure I understand exactly what you just said. So the piers, what I think of the piers, which I think right now you've got reinforced concrete. You can't see that. I don't care. I don't know that we care about that. I'm looking at I think we are looking at the aesthetic of what the external view looks like. How that thing is supported structurally, I don't know that we care.
I misspoke. I was speaking more of the newel posts.
Okay, yeah. I think that's what we're talking about. Yes.
Yeah.
Simply, can't we just put not a recess there, but actually just a 1x overlay on top of the 4x, probably is what you have anyway underneath there, to go ahead and just be able to go ahead and square it off?
Yeah, I don't want to get into how you might build it, but I think, Andy, you're kind of pulling on the right thread. We're just not used to seeing this specific kind of post.
Yeah, I mean, if you just, I think if you guys do a little bit of research on green style decks, I mean, you'll see styling that looks different than what you've selected here.
Yeah.
And I think we're essentially asking you to consider that when you come up with what your design is.
Understood. Rick, I remember seeing a house for sale on 6th Avenue, and I think the deck that we're talking about is exactly there. And I think there's examples up and down 6th Avenue regarding decks that are there. Of course, there's concrete steps going up, but more so there's the simple rail that we can go ahead and see in the center here. But I think I recall just seeing simple, flat 1x's to go ahead and take out the recess. And I think that answers the question, right?
Right. I think I think you're hearing what we're saying.
Yeah, perfect.
Right. It sounds like,
Matt,
you went.
say that I think my opinion is that it's not just what's in your development zone, because your house is a particular architectural style. And I think you ought to consider that when you select the design for this deck. When I look at other green style decks, I see something significantly different than the style you've selected here.
Yeah.
I have a picture of I have a picture of some homes from Arthur Hyman regarding Pasadena. So I'll bring those back up, and Matt and I can go ahead and kind of go over those. But for the simplicity of what we're talking about, we'll just go ahead and plan on having a plain and not a recessed wood. Does that solve that question?
I think what Damon's suggesting is that you kind of really look more carefully at what really makes sense for the architectural design of your home. And what you just said might be just that, but yeah.
But I mean, part of the point of this review process is you show us that. You talk about how you've selected your design, what you were using as a basis. You talk about some of the rhythm and the different scale that you chose and how it relates to the existing structure, how it complements the architecture style. And so that's kind of what we're looking for. And I think what you're hearing us say is what you've selected doesn't seem to match very well.
Okay.
And then
All right.
before we move off that particular elevation drawing, I'm going to come back to the board and ask about thoughts on the mullion pattern of the security door.
I'm just looking to see what kind of guidance we give in the design guide before I.
Yeah,
I think it's as good as, as we can hope for.
okay,
That's a challenging, thing to be searching for to fit a historic home, and
right.
I think it's definitely one of probably the best one I've seen in the neighborhood. So
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think it's pretty consistent with our guidelines.
yeah.
Okay. Yep. Okay, I just wanted to get an affirmation of that. So, okay.
Really quick, do we need to make any like mini motions or anything, or do we want to just make note of some things and then we'll make one motion at the end? One motion at the end. So one of the items would be obviously the north patio consistency. I think I just want to make a little bit of note so we don't forget stuff.
Yeah, right. Thank you, Darcy.
Maybe what the board, Mr. Chair, maybe what the board can do, because this will become a little bit too much at the end. Maybe if you get to one section and discuss a section until you're satisfied with, you can just make a motion for that section instead of waiting to the end, because it becomes one long convoluted motion.
Right. So if I remember correctly, looking at the drawings, we have this patio up in the north side of the house. We have a ramada on the south side of the house. We have an addition on the west side of the house and a ramada somewhere out in the yard, and then the garage.
An entry update.
So we probably should do it in pieces. I think Darcy's got a good point. So with respect to the north patio, I think in general, I'm just gonna say a couple comments and then I ask for a motion. I think in general, we're good with what we see, except that I think we need to see the detail of the posts and the balusters to be updated to be more consistent with the aesthetic and flow of the house. The screen door, the secured door, we're okay with. You guys are keeping the windows as is. Generally speaking, the footprint of the patio, I think we're okay with. I'm just talking out loud here. So if we just say, do we have a motion on the north porch or north patio, whatever it's called in the elevation, that we just capture our thoughts on?
I think we need to see another drawing, right? I mean, I don't think we can really make a motion to. Do we feel comfortable approving anything right now?
No, I'm not saying we approve. I'm actually just trying to capture the comments. So the motion I'm asking for is, do we have specific guidance we want to give to them as what we want to see next time?
It's
Yeah.
also possible, and we've done in the past, we can approve certain aspects with the caveat that we see an updated, elevation or whatnot that we can all then vote on after the fact. We've done that. We did that last meeting, in fact. So
Yeah, so I can try motion and we'll see if it works. So this is Damon. I motion that if anybody wants to stop me, now's your chance. I motion that we provide approval for the footprint of the deck on the north side of the house, the use of the security door, and of course, the reuse of the existing door and windows. And I'd like to see more design details before we approve the rest of the deck.
sorry to cut off. Are we okay with the Trex? We agreed that we were, right? I think that should
Yeah.
maybe be part of that.
That's a good point. Thank you. Let me modify my motion to include that we're good with the tricks.
This is Rachel Sarah. I second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Darcy Hazelbaker, how do you vote? You're on mute, Darcy. Oh,
Yeah, I
there
know,
you
I couldn't find the button.
go. Okay,
I motion to approve.
all right. Betsy Besnick, how do you vote?
Aye.
All right, Rachel, Sarah, how do you vote?
Aye.
Damon Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
And this Rick McDonald, I vote aye, so that motion passes unanimously. Okay. One down.
Andy, shall we look at the south deck? That's what,
Sure, absolutely.
okay. So the top two elevations is the south elevation of the house. The top elevation shows the Ramada. You can see the stickwork of the Ramada itself, spanning the beam between the two lava stone piers, with their rafter tails coming out both to the east and to the west. You see the beam that's running across and spanning between the middle of those. And so that will be the primary beam that then is supporting the 2x6s, which are going to be the stick work for the Ramada itself. You can see beyond that a pair of posts that are there you go. Yep. Those two posts, which will be supporting the second beam or the next beam to the north, that again, the stick work for the Ramada will be true framed on top of, and then beyond that, the stick work for the Ramada will be flush framed to the beam and will pass underneath the eave as you see it in the second elevation, the south elevation itself of the house. And it will come up short of the south elevation, the wall itself to the dining room.
So what's supporting the beam that's further north? I think I might see maybe 2 4x4 posts or something.
Yeah, they're 6x6 posts.
6x6. Okay.
By 6, yeah. And the rafters going north-south tie into the house, the south side of the house under the eave.
That's correct.
Yeah, it's hard to see on this drawing, but okay.
Yeah, it is. We have a detail of that. Yeah. Actually, scroll down to the details. There's a.
I'm not, that's okay. I mean, you answered
Okay.
my question. Yeah.
Okay,
Don't worry
all
about
right.
it. Yeah.
Thank you, Rick.
And the rafters are 2x8s, 2x6s?
2x6s.
2x6s, okay.
Yeah.
And no solid covering, it's just the rafters like a
No.
pergola.
It's
Yeah.
just open pergola. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you'll see, Andy, can you scroll to your right just a little bit there? And you'll see here too, the deck itself is a step down from the floor level in the house, runs across, and that aligns with the top of the lava stone pier. So that eliminates the need for, and the lava stone piers are only 16 inches above the grade. And so that eliminates the need to put any kind of hand railing in at all. So
Mhm.
that clutter, I guess, if you will. And there's no evidence that we've been able to find in any of the photographs or renderings of the house that there was a handrail there.
Right, okay. And Trex again for the
Yes.
decking, yeah.
And Rick, this was the question before regarding how it's going from the house
Mhm.
to the post, to the beam, and then how the rafters are on top of it to go ahead and continue to the stone work.
I have a question on sort of I guess a stylistic question for I think the other architects here. One of the things I see when I look at kind of like pergola or sort of Ramada styles that are in this architectural style, I see you see a lot of big beams, which I think is achieved here. I also see a lot of I guess knee braces or kind of like waterfall style braces, and some sort of like interesting joinery.
Mhm.
I'm curious if you guys consider any of that, or if we as a board think that you should maybe introduce some of those elements to try to relate better to the style of the house, or what people's thoughts are.
Well, so to answer the question, we had not considered that. The photograph that we have that shows that that Ramada, which Andy's got up there on the screen now, did not have any of those kind of diagonal braces kicking back to the house. They are seen at the gable ends of the master bedroom, at the gable end of the living room, again at the gable end of the living room at the entryway. Those have very strong diagonal brace supports, but there wasn't any evidence of that kind of secondary supporting at that Ramada. And so we had not really imagined introducing that.
Yeah, I was more talking about where the new 6x6 posts you're putting in are that are supporting that secondary beam.
Ah, okay.
And I couldn't quite tell in that picture. I don't know if maybe you can go back to it, Andy, but I couldn't, to be honest, quite tell what I was looking at there. Of
So
what,
Damon, just so you know, this is where that, so the edge of the roof line comes about 4 feet off of the house itself on both sides, as well as on the on that north side of that deck. And so what happens is that we're not actually touching the house. We're actually keeping off of the house, and the concrete footer will be here for the post to go ahead and straight up. And this is approximately the area that it's at. So it's just about even out. So as we're bringing the rafters out, we'll have a supporting beam right here. And then from here, it would go ahead and continue out to the stone pillars. And
yeah,
so,
and what I was trying to understand was how those posts, the 6x6 posts that will be in the footer were kind of where you're pointing, how it joined up with the beam that's sitting on top of it and what the original construction was.
Not sure what the original construction was at those joints. And we are calling for standard lumber attachments to be used in those locations.
So that, Matt, that white, I say white, the lighter colored gray post that's kind of in the center of that black and white drawing on the left
Mhm.
side.
Yeah,
That's what was there originally. That's what was holding up that center point of the Ramada.
I believe so, yes.
Mhm.
What, sorry for me not being able to see it myself, but what is that?
It's
Do you know?
a clad column actually, because it's chunky enough that it would be a huge piece of lumber if it was solid.
Right.
And then there's a smaller post just beyond it.
I see the smaller post beyond it, the one in the foreground. I mean, the one that's closer to us.
Yeah.
Like you said, is very chunky. I mean, I don't know what that is, 8x8 or bigger.
So
our focus is to be able to go ahead and keep the availability of being able to go ahead and see out. That's why we're actually utilizing the span in between the two pillars to be able to have a nice view without anything blocking. And it's interesting that they had all that wood in the center of everything blocking their view, but then it all fell down anyways. Because you can see by the 2x6s, it was all there, but there's nothing left of it at all.
Yeah.
So it's actually, this is Rachel Sarah. So it's actually kind of a happy accident that my computer wasn't working and I had to go on my phone, because I'm able to zoom in quite a bit. And it looks like that skinnier post behind the clad one actually does have like the knee braces that Damien's talking about. And I think that was more the question is, are you going to do you plan on just doing a single straight post, or do you plan on doing some knee braces?
The initial design was just a post.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rachel, I'm impressed that you can see that. I can't tell that from my
Well, I
screen.
can zoom in a lot on my phone. That's what I'm saying. It's
Yeah.
actually nice having my phone instead of the computer screen. So yeah, until
And-
it's like almost completely pixelized, but you can actually see that it
Mm.
has that the little knee kick brace. Which, so I mean, I think there's precedence to go either way here, and I don't really feel that strongly either way. Can you go back to an elevation of the whole house with that, Ramada?
A side elevation, yes.
The whole house, yeah.
Yeah, so we can just see how the geometries all work together.
Is that right there?
I mean, I don't mind it not having the little knee braces. I think, it's kind of emphasizing more the stone work, which I think is kind of nice, and those elements can become secondary.
Right.
Just my opinion on that.
Matt, those posts are 6x6, is that right?
I believe that's correct, yeah.
All right, well, so to the other board members, Damon, Darcy, I mean, do you have any hard feelings about those 6x6 posts?
No, I think my comment just kind of I tend to agree with Rachel, Sarah, and that, with the detailing of it, I think I could kind of go either way with the knee bracing. And I do agree that like when you look at the elevation of this, like the framing and the detailing of the Ramada is sort of like a thinner line, with the posts, I think, sort of being the more emphasized or hierarchical element of that elevation. And so, I think it's a sort of a small player, those knee braces, just in this particular elevation.
Mhm. Damon?
I guess I don't necessarily have a strong opinion about it. I kind of wanted the applicant to make a case that they sort of considered that when they were thinking through the design. I mean, I think part of this is the intent is for them to research what they think the original construction was, and then to try to restore it to that or explain why they're not doing that. And I was trying to pull some of that out. I don't actually have a strong opinion on it.
I think, Damon, in answer to that, I simply had not been able to identify that there were knee braces on those posts. So it wasn't considered only because I had not seen those when I was looking at that historical photograph.
Fair
And
enough.
I'm kind of assuming that a knee brace or not a knee brace in the scheme of this project is probably not a big deal one way or the other. So perhaps, you might want to, based on the comments you're hearing from us, think about what the original intent was and the original design, and go with that. I mean, there's nothing in the guidelines that are going to drive us to say it has to be one versus the other, I believe. But you can tell from the board, we're just trying, this house in particular is a very significant historic home, a very significant contributing structure to the contributing property in the neighborhood. So we just want to do the best we can to make sure we're all, I know you guys are doing that too, to make sure that we're restoring it to the way it was originally built.
Agreed.
I'm gonna share a link in the chat. It's a Flickr album, and there's a red house that has a really similar porch patio structure that you might find interesting, and it has a lot of similarities that you might pull some inspiration from as well. So I'll put it in there.
Thank you.
Thank you, yeah.
It's a red house at the bottom.
Okay, so let's, is there any other discussion on this particular deck ramada on the south side of the house? All right, I'm hearing none. So as presented, I think we've given you a few things back that you need to maybe go back and just kind of scratch your head on.
Yes.
But
Yep.
as presented, do we have a motion from the board?
I can make a motion. Well,
Sure,
let's just
Darcy.
run through it. Let's run through it before I make the motion. It sounds like we're okay with the design of the south elevation ramada, correct? There are no issues other than that we just, kind of similarly to our previous comment, would like, the applicant to be, looking at the, the previous, design and historical documents, and trying to make their decisions based on those photos. But I don't know that that's really something that I would motion on. I think that's just a general comment.
Sounds good to me.
Okay. I'm Darcy Hazelbaker, and I motion that we approve the design of the south elevation ramada as presented in the drawings.
Okay, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
This is Damon, I second.
Cool. Okay. So Betsy Besnick, how do you vote?
Aye.
Rachel Sarah, how do you vote?
Aye.
Darcy Hazelbaker, how do you vote?
Aye.
Damon Turner, how do you vote?
Aye.
This is Rick McDonald, I vote aye. So that is unanimously approved. Okay,
Andy, let's go ahead and scroll around to the front elevation, since that's one that I think, so actually on the elevation that you're seeing on the page now, whoops.
Which one?
Let's go back to what you were looking at before. Sorry. Okay, and then scroll so that the entry area is to the right, no, up and to the right. Okay, on, there you go. Okay. So you can see here on the right portion, you have the fireplace and the lava stone projection here on the south end of the living room, with the projecting bay windows flanking the fireplace. To the right of that, you can see a primary wood beam coming out to that solo lava stone pier. It has its twin actually on the opposite side of the porch, but those are the only two lava stone full height piers on that front elevation piece. It has its rafter tail in the same kind of detailing as the two lava stone piers, the south elevation of the deck. And then the horizontal ramada members running north-south that you can see there that Andy's pointing at. The rafter tail coming out of the south of the pier is going to have to be refurbished. No, that the one that's coming out of south, that's east. So the one that's towards us has some damage on it, and that's going to have to be repaired. I don't think it'll have to be replaced in total, but it will need to be repaired. You can also see excuse me, the horizontal rail for the front porch. There we go. Thank you, Andy. So Andy, let's go ahead and scroll down and we'll look at the front elevation of the house. This is the front elevation of the house. All of the members that we see between the lava stone piers, the one on the far left is actually the corner pier of the deck that we were looking at in the south elevation. So you see the two full piers and then a short corner pier on the left-hand side of the steps coming up onto the porch. But all of the wood members, both the wood members of the Ramada itself, and then the wood members that are in the gable end beyond the diagonal braces for the brackets that are coming out to support the deep overhang, are all original and require some maintenance, but by and large are in adequate shape to keep the pieces that are there. And then the door, the main entry door is a 4-foot wide entry door with a very nice wood surround on it, which Andy has actually stripped the finish off of that and restored to its original wood. And that also has a screen door that I believe you're repairing, aren't you, Andy? That you'd take.
Yes.
Doing that. Yeah. And that gives you a sense of the heavier wood members that are part of that front entry porch. The two members that are coming out of the page towards us are helping to support the Ramada that runs north-south.
Matt, if we could, can we go back to the addition? That's probably the third and largest thing that we need to go ahead and kind of cover.
Well, let's get, they wanted to take a look at each one of the components, and so let's just,
okay.
It was a simple one to
okay.
present.
So Matt, what I'm hearing about the front elevation, the east side of the building,
Correct.
is but you're not changing anything, you're just restoring stuff that's damaged.
We're simply restoring and replacing in kind in a few locations where it needs.
Right. The door is the original door.
Correct.
You're just restoring damaged wood and posts and rails and things like that have suffered from time.
Yes.
Yeah, right. You're not changing the stairs. You're not changing the stone. Okay.
Yeah, all of that stays as is.
Okay. So on that element, I guess I don't even know. They're not proposing changing anything. Do we, as a board? I don't know what the rules are on that. Seems like one could argue that they're not.
I don't think we need to do anything.
Yeah, that's what
I think my only comment would be to look at the detailing on this handrail and maybe consider something like that for your kitchen deck.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, for the north deck.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
So as far as this elevation is concerned, given that you're not asking to do anything other than just repair, then I believe we have no comment. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, but Mr. Chair, the LARO should reflect that on the front elevation. They are not proposing any changes, they're just repairing, refabricating and repairing whatever they need to do. So that should figure in the LARO.
So we do need to do a motion on that?
No, it doesn't need a motion, but you need to just state it in Darcy, the LARO. It doesn't need a motion.
Okay.
should
So
state that.
Darcy just needs to note in the minutes
Yes.
that we've agreed that the repair work you're planning on doing is something we don't need to vote on. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Yep.
So Andy, let's go back to the south elevation, and we can look at the south elevation of the addition, and then we'll move on around to the west elevation and then to the north.
All right, so you're going to scroll over a little bit to the left. Right. Okay, so now we're focusing on the addition, that area that's kind of like whatever.
Right.
Dotted.
So, yeah, I stippled the surface of that just
Stippled. Thank you. Stippled.
from the remainder
Right.
of the house. That is that represents the new addition portion of the house. We are working with, you can see there's a higher window that is going to be opening into the walk-in closet area off the master bedroom. That roof area above that is the original roof. And then we are proposing for the addition to basically work off of that and bring it back down to the eave height as a shed roof for the addition. The screen porch that was there, the sleeping porch that was there, had a shed roof coming down. And so we're really proposing that we're going to just replace that in kind. What you're looking at here in the small triangle is the cricket, if you will, that's going to feather up to the point that it intersects with the existing roof so that we get positive water drainage off of the roof there.
Having a hard time visualizing from this elevation. I know you've got other views. So
do you want to go to the west elevation just real quick?
okay. I think you just passed it. Yeah. Oh, nope, nope,
This one,
nope. The west
No,
elevation.
That's the front elevation, the east elevation.
north.
There you
that's
go.
it.
Right there. Stop.
Okay.
Went too far.
Not too far.
Scroll down again a little bit.
There, that elevation.
Thank you,
Yes.
Andy.
Sorry about that. Yep.
Not a worry. So the existing sleeping porch, are you demoing that and replacing it?
Yes,
I see. Okay.
Half of it.
because it's in very poor repair. The planking in the floor is all torn up. The siding is in very bad
All
repair.
right. And then you're changing the footprint
I'm sorry,
and you're changing the footprint. You're making it a little bit bigger than the
we're pushing it out another 6 or 10
6
feet.
feet. Oh, you're pushing it out another 10 feet.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're siding it with cedar shingle siding, the coursing of which, the exposure of which is going to match the existing house. And we're replicating the flare of the base of the siding, which is the detail that the existing house has as well.
Mhm.
The windows we're going to be working with, excuse me, the windows are going to be white aluminum windows. They're single hung windows. We chose aluminum as the material for exactly the reasons, Rick, that you had mentioned earlier, that, you know, obviously vinyl cladding is not going to hold up over time at all. And then we tried to work with the proportions of the windows that were similar in proportion to, in their vertical dimension, to the windows on the existing house itself. The detail of the windows will have a skirt board at the bottom of the sill, and then have casing around the windows, again, so that it is in kind to the way that the existing windows have been cased on the existing house. The roof of the addition will be built up. The existing roof on the sleeping porch is a built-up roof, and we're actually, there's a portion of that roof which will remain. It's the gable end overhang is a very deep overhang. And so essentially the addition is the seam between the roof for the addition and the existing roof is just slightly beyond the fascia board for that gable end. So there's a portion of that existing roof that remains in place.
I think we normally expect a little more information on the windows and doors that you're installing here. Like maybe the spec sheet or something.
Okay, Andy, do you have the spec sheet for those windows? The door is actually one of the existing doors in the house. We're just refurbishing a door to put
Okay.
in its place. Again, we're working with that same security door in that location.
So we're still finalizing exactly if it's Home Depot or Window Depot. Either way, it is the aluminum, and it's single hung, and spec sheet is, Matt, is it in the drawings anywhere?
No,
I don't think I have a picture of it per se. But it's a standard single hung aluminum window. It's as plain as you can get it. We picked aluminum so we could actually go ahead and paint the aluminum yellow to be able to go ahead and match the trim of the house in succession with all of the other windows in the whole house. That's why we're going with the aluminum.
And it's truly aluminum structure,
Yes.
the sash?
yeah,
Okay, I don't think we allow that. I think there is a aluminum clad wood window that we might consider on a case by case basis, but I believe, and I'll let anybody else interrupt me if I'm wrong, but I believe we don't allow aluminum windows.
and
Uh,
Damon, do you know who the manufacturer is of the clad window? Is that an Anderson window or?
We have allowed clad windows from companies like Anderson.
Okay.
In the past. Metal clad. I mean, we actually didn't, back in the day, didn't even allow metal clad. We added that. But I agree with Damon, I believe solid aluminum we're not okay with. Although for the life of me, I can't remember why.
Even though it's going to be painted to the color of the trim.
Yeah, I'm just trying to, Rachel, I know, do you have any recollection of this topic?
I thought it was because it's like a material that was not from the time period. Like aluminum windows were more something that came around in the 60s.
Yeah, my recollection was we allowed steel and wood, and then when we were rewriting everything, we agreed that we could do an aluminum wood clad in terms of the same, technology advancement material conversation we've had.
I have a picture. I think I should be able to get it fairly quickly of the exact window, and
So Andy, I think we're gonna have to probably, I appreciate you gonna call it a picture, but it's more than just what the visual is. I think, as Damon said, we need to kind of see a spec sheet on this thing.
and I have that for you.
Okay.
Again, a lot of these are, we have to realize that manufacturing is something that is interesting right now with COVID, that we're really not being able to go ahead and get things in any time frame. The aluminum is 16 weeks out, 3-4 months out. We may just have plywood up on the openings until it actually comes in.
Understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
But I just wanted to go ahead and kind of show the, it's here in March, and March 8th and March 5th, March, there it is. Okay, so this is the window exactly, and so it just seems to me that when we paint it's not just an aluminum. This is something that we can go ahead and be able to touch and be able to. No, it's not, guys. This isn't it. This is not it. No, because they don't have them in stock. They just, this is the vinyl. They don't have them in stock. So
Yeah, So I'm kind of, I think, to be honest with you, guys, Matt and Andy, because this is an addition, it's not an outbuilding, it's an addition to the contributing structure itself. We're gonna need a lot more information on the windows, and we're gonna have to probably have a conversation around whether solid aluminum windows are gonna be okay or not. And they currently are not allowed in the guidelines. Clad, yes, like if you went and even to Home Depot or Lowe's and looked at Anderson clad windows, we have allowed those. Okay.
Understood.
And I'm kind of looking at the time here and wanting to be, we're gonna have to honor the 8 o'clock end of the meeting. So I'm trying to think about where else we can go to make sure that you get approved what can be approved. But I think on this addition, with respect to the windows in particular, we're probably gonna have to come back to that, I think. And frankly, I'm gonna leave it up to the board too. I'm not 100% clear that I understand the roof line from the elevation pictures. If other members of the board get it, then I'm fine. I'm just kind of looking at it. So, oh, well, okay. So you've got a drawing up right now that is the north elevation. So I do see the shed roof design a little bit better here. Okay.
I mean, I will say like the slope of it feels a little bit strange compared to the rest of the proportions and the pitch, right?
Yeah.
And, you know, I think the rest of the roof is shingle, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm
this-
proposing like
no.
a different material, like a built
It's
up.
built up.
Okay, so this is built up. You're not
This
gonna
is
be
all
able to
built
do-
up. Existing is
it's-
built up.
Well,
Darcy, were you asking about the house itself?
no.
I'm
Darcy's
talking
saying
about
that
the addition.
the addition, so you're proposing a built-up roof on the addition. I presume that's because the slope of that roof won't allow shingles.
Right. And Rick, the existing sleeping porch does have a built-up roof on it. So that's the only roof in the existing house that doesn't have initially they were wood shingles and then they were asphalt shingles.
But I guess maybe it changes because we've gotten a lot deeper, right? So the elevation, the addition has gone farther to the western,
Right.
you know,
That is correct, yes.
dimension. And so the proportion of it starts to look a little bit funny when before it was much skinnier and shorter and like a minor thing. Now it's this kind of like stretched out roof line.
I would say that this is the existing here coming down, and then Darcy, from here over,
I can't, where are you? I can't see where you're pointing, sorry.
I'm
Oh, there
right
we go. Okay, yep.
I can make it a little bit bigger.
No, I
No,
found it.
I see it. So Andy, what Darcy's saying, what we're saying is, if you go back to the existing, the pitch on the existing is steeper than what you're now proposing because you're extending the addition out, you know, quite a bit. And we all understand the math that's involved there, but it does mean that suddenly a built-up roof is your only option, right? It's probably.
What I would say is that you have to realize that a lot of this is even past here. This is actually part of the well, we're really close to the existing slope that's already there. I don't know if this is the exact pitch of what's there, but we're basically following the line, and then half of the this area is that we're taking off. Darcy, is actually to grade right there. I think that's exactly how it is coming off, because we're talking about cutting into the existing porch to go ahead and build it back out because it's just not feasible. It's just it's in pieces. But the actual pitch line is probably exactly, but we're actually going in to go ahead and pull it off, and so that's the existing pitch right there. And I think that's exactly in line of what's there already.
Yeah, well, I guess my question is, it doesn't seem like it matches what I'm assuming to be that dashed line that's behind the roof, you know, and for me personally, it's like it just feels like a stretched roof and it feels really like just a non-thought out addition only because the proportions of it are changing and the functions changing. We've gone from like a skinny sleeping porch to a craft room and I think a bathroom and a bedroom, or office and bedroom. And so I think it just looks very dwarfed compared to the rest of the property.
Understood. And so just to clarify, it does come down to the gable, and then after that, it does flatten out. So the sleeping porch that's there, that 8 feet that Matt was talking about before, really does flatten out coming off of where the gable's at. This is all built up. And again, this is all built up. This is existing right here. This part is existing, and we're just presenting another 8 to 10 feet going out from there. But this is already here in that pitch. It changes.
Yeah.
It's existing.
I know what you're saying with the existing, but I'm just saying to add, additional length to the west side and continue the pitch is not really part of the original intention. And so it just doesn't, it looks funny. It looks out of character. But I'll let the rest of the board comment if they have any comments on it.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you, Darcy. I think it does look a little out of character.
I agree too. Have you guys considered doing a gable-ended roof there?
Yeah, that's actually what I started to think too.
So this gable is already existing, and we already have all the vents, everything there. We wanted to go ahead and make as small a footprint, and actually the gable stops. And again, this is a pitch that goes to the end of the gable, and then the sleeping porch, we're going in a line that was already there historically to be able to go ahead and go from the end of the gable out. Again, half of this space right here already exists from the left of the pointer going left.
Right. We understand what was there and what exists. It's just now that you're adding that additional square footage, it's changing the proportions. And so we're thinking if you're going to add that square footage, you might need to change the idea of this not really being a sleeping porch anymore, which it's not, to a full-blown addition, which it is, and consider the roof should maybe match the existing house a little bit better.
Yeah, like my opinion would be like, what if you just kept the little sloping part down low, right? That was the existing width of the sleeping quarters, and then the new addition pops back up with the gable roof, right? And we can really understand that the dimensions of the sleeping porch become like the break, right? Before a new taller addition comes on with a pitched roof or something. I don't know. Again, I feel like we're doing an addition and we're trying to like just stretch what's there, when really maybe we need to be acknowledging it as a new thing that's a little bit separate and not trying to make it look like this.
It would throw the dimension of the whole property off, in my opinion. We're trying to keep it as low and subtle as possible. Matter of fact, how this works is that the porch is 3 feet off the ground, and we're actually dropping that with stairs to go ahead and drop down 3 feet. So we're actually on the ground with the new addition. We're trying to go ahead and not do what Jim did, Jim Glock, to the west of us, and create a 2-story addition and go high and huge. We're actually doing the exact opposite. We're just trying to go ahead and bring it down, realizing that sometime we're not going to be able to walk up the stairs. And I think that's what's happening with a lot of older folks being able to not. So we're just trying to stay as low to the ground as possible. And that's why we're actually dropping to the ground to be able to go ahead and do the addition there.
Can I, if I may, given the dialogue, and I'm kind of watching the clock here a little bit, and we're about to lose a board member at 8 o'clock sharp, and then we won't have a quorum and we'll have to end the meeting. So that's why I'm kind of pushing us along a little bit. We're not going to be able to, listening to the dialogue, do more than just give you a few comments like we're giving you right now, and perhaps suggest another review, or even perhaps a courtesy review, just specifically focused on this particular aspect of the design. And I suggest, in everyone's best interest, that we move to some other stuff that's on, because I know you have a number of other features that we would like to perhaps be able to look at and then hopefully approve, so that we just get back to only like a couple of things that we have to come back and look at.
Understood. Before we do that, Rick, can we just hear from Matt real quick because he thought about this design very, very specific.
Well, I initially, when we were at the addition, we had a two-story addition, and it was a gable end kind of roof. Some of the same kind of detailing that you see in the existing gable end roofs. As we pulled away from that and looked at dropping the floor down so that it's closer to grade, the thing that we were really trying to protect, I guess, is that detailing of the existing gable end where the wooden vent work and the
Right. I understand that. I
Yeah.
understand that. I'm
and
very,
so it's that's really what drove our choice to kind of streamline or to simplify the way that the addition looked in the back there.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at it, trying to imagine how we would bring that gable up without compromising the vent.
Yeah, so I'm, again, trying to do as much as we can to help you guys through this meeting. I think you guys need to kind of maybe go back and think about that a little bit more, listening to the comments you've heard from the board members.
Mhm.
And I really advise that we see if there isn't, we've only got 7 minutes left in the meeting, any other things that we could perhaps look at that would allow us to say, you're good with this. We just sort of like check off stuff
Sure.
on your drawing.
So Andy, I think that would probably lead to the Ramada that you want to put in the northeast corner of the property, and then the fence on the west or on the east side of the property.
For the Ramada, could we go to the site view on the drawing?
Sure.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, that one. Yep. So you're talking about a Ramada. It's kind of on that particular sheet. Right of center. Yep, right up there.
Yep,
Okay.
correct. And it's just an open heavy timber Ramada. And Andy's got a photograph of what he would like that style to look like.
So you've got 4 piers that hold that thing up, posts that hold that thing up.
We're probably looking at 6, given the
6, okay. Given the span, 20-foot span, yeah, I
Right.
understand. But these aren't the drawings. Do you have an elevation view of the Ramada that you're proposing?
We haven't drawn that, no.
Oh, you haven't drawn it? Oh,
No.
okay.
Was the image that you just showed the sort of style you intend to emulate?
Probably not as built up as this is. Probably not that top piece there, but definitely the sides here, which is what's going to support the whole thing.
Okay. I mean, stylistically, it looks to me to be complementary to the house. So I think you're on the right track, at least in my opinion.
Right.
But we would need to see more detail in order to,
Right.
approve or disapprove.
Yeah, Matt, when you have an opportunity to draw it up and, you can kind of tell from the board, we're all just wanting to
Yep.
make sure that the construction complements other features of the house.
Yes,
The
yeah.
scale of it and the thickness of the wood and stuff, but putting a
Right.
Ramada there, I think, if this were a courtesy review, we'd be saying, yeah, that's, just keep the aesthetic the same.
Mr. Chair, if you're going to lose a quorum in the next 1 or 2 minutes, maybe think of taking some action or doing something before you lose a quorum, because after
Right.
that, the meeting is over.
Yep, thank you, Michael. I appreciate that. So I'm not sure how to tie this off, so let me just kind of talk this through a little bit. So to approve the Ramada, we're going to need to see views of the Ramada, architectural drawings, elevation drawings of the Ramada of the design you're approving or asking us to approve, which I know you understand. On the addition, I think you heard our comments. The board is not really yet completely on board with the approach that you're taking exactly. So we're probably gonna have to come back and look at that again after you've had an opportunity to really think about how that integrates with the house, the main contributing structure. You've heard a few comments from the board today on some things to think about. For that, if you want to try and come back for maybe a courtesy review with some ideas and concepts, that'd be fine. Same thing for the Ramada, although to Damon's point, I mean, that Ramada that you're showing is on perhaps the right track. We are out of time to do much more with the garage. I know that we approved 1 or 2 meetings ago the stuccoing of the garage. I'm not sure if there's anything else left on the garage to approve.
The only other thing that we have on the garage is the garage door.
I thought you
We got that approved, Matt.
Okay.
You,
all
you
right,
weren't here, but we got that approved.
right.
thought we
Everything
were
regarding
okay.
everything regarding the guest house garage has been approved and yeah.
Okay, that's kind of the way I remember it as well. So am I correct? The Ramada and the there's stuff that you've already got actions on with respect to the north patio.
Mhm.
The Ramada, we need to see more specific information on, and the board is not yet comfortable with where you're architecturally going with the back patio and the west addition. And based on our comments, probably need to see that again.
Also to include the sheet for pour out all the materials that you're using.
Yeah, the spec sheet.
The spec sheet on, oh yes, we need spec sheets on whatever that you're going to do for the windows, but bear in mind, to the point that started that conversation that Damon brought up, all aluminum windows are currently not allowed by the design guides. Aluminum clad, metal clad windows are. So, and we all know that companies like Anderson, there's others, do make those.
All right, so we'll, Matt and I will review the addition. I can tell you that we've stayed inside historic as close as we possibly could to go ahead and keep it going. And, you know, the thing is that I eventually have to move in there with my family, and the addition is a vital part of that. And I know that's not a big part of your decision on your side, but we're trying to go ahead and make it make sense all the way through. And again, creating a 2-story conglomerate, just, we didn't want to go there. We're trying to go ahead and make it as true as possible. And so we will come back and revisit it again. Yep.
Michael?
Oh, hold on one second.
Okay. What do we?
I think I would just say, to summarize our concern on what was the sleeping porch, is it's not really just enclosing a porch now, it's becoming an addition. And so it should really be treated as an addition and not just the enclosing of a sleeping porch, with its proportions and everything else. And as we mentioned before, the design guidelines kind of have you go through this exercise of talking about the rhythm and the materials and the pattern and the heights and all of those things. And so if you spend the time to write out that design narrative that the HPZ is requiring you to do, it kind of makes you answer all those questions before you get to the meeting.
Understood.
Okay. So I think, given all that, we need to move on and close out the agenda. And Oh, shoot. Darcy, are you already gone?
I'm here, but I need to go.
Oh, I know. Darcy needs to go. So look, item 5 on the agenda, election of advisory board officers. I am pushing, we're gonna push that to the next meeting. It's
So
time to
Chair
do
will
that.
just defer everything to the next meeting. Once she goes, there's no more quorum. So let's just close the meeting now. And then the rest of the item we'll put in the next meeting.
I'm okay. I'm fine with that. I know Darcy needs to go. All right, with that, Michael, do I at
So
least have?
do we need someone to propose
Motion.
or a motion to close out the meeting
Yeah,
and
yes,
postpone all remaining items for next week?
yes, or
Or
next
next
time.
month.
Yeah, next time. Yeah.
I second Michelle's motion.
All right, we have a motion, we have a second. Darcy, how do you vote?
Hi.
Damon, how do you vote?
Aye.
Betsy, are you still on the board? How do you vote?
Hi.
Rachel, how do you vote?
Aye.
This is Rick. I vote aye. We stand adjourned. Thank you all.
Bye,
Thank you.
everybody. Have a good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Michael, do you have the share screen now before I leave?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, just wanted to make sure before I left you guys. All right, we all set? Thank you.